back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over green cheek conure care. I've gotten a lot of requests for this, so today we're going to learn a lot about these little guys and how to take care of them. But before we get into that, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and also the bell so that you can watch all of my animal videos. I do make a lot of videos, 2 videos every week. So this video is going to be very thorough, even though you might just be looking for the basics, but I feel like there is a lot of really important information to know if you do want to keep parrots as pets. So I'm going to try to include as much as possible in today's video. And joining me here today is Cairo, and then you can also hear some of my other parrots in the background. So there will probably be a lot of bird noise throughout this video, but I think that's the first challenge. If you can make it through this video with all the bird noise, then maybe this is the right pet for you. If the bird noise is starting to annoy you, then you probably shouldn't get a parrot. So let's first start with what is a green cheek conure. A green cheek conure is one of many species of conure, and conures are a group of parrots, so basically a subgroup of parrots that are found in South and Central America. So a green cheek conure is a parrot found in South America. Now it's important to understand that there are several color mutations of green cheek conures now that they're being bred in captivity. So Cairo here is a normal green cheek conure, and this is basically what you would observe if you saw green cheek conures in the wild. However, there are now also other mutations such as pineapple, turquoise, and others. Now the problem with this is that through lack of communication in the pet trade, some of these are being sold as pineapple conures, for example. And there is no such thing because pineapple is a color. It's a word used to describe how the bird looks. It is not a species. So that's why it makes me so frustrated to see so many people calling their green cheek conures pineapple conures or turquoise conures, because it creates a lot of confusion and miscommunication, and then they end up not being able to find information on their bird because they're looking it up under a species as pineapple, when really that's not the name of their species. All of them are green cheek conures. So a pineapple green cheek conure is, for example, Evan, this bird, because that is the color that he is. But it doesn't change his species. So just like you wouldn't call a breed of dog brown dog. I hope that clears that up for you a little bit so that you know what species of parrot you are purchasing. I also hear people calling this species a beginner bird, and I really dislike that term. This is not the type of bird that you get in order to learn how to take care of it until you decide to get something better. This is a huge commitment. All parrots are a huge commitment. So get the one that you want. Don't listen to people that say, oh, start off with this or that. Pick the parrot that you're going to love forever, not the one that you're going to outgrow. Green cheek conures are considered to be one of the easier parrots to own and care for. They are a small little bird that is very intelligent and not as emotionally draining and demanding as some of the other species. But they are a parrot, and they do still require a lot of the same basic care that all parrots do. Now let's talk about the expectations of having a parrot. It can be life-changing, no matter the size or species. So this one right here is about a 30-year commitment because that's their lifespan. So that's something really important to consider if you're thinking about getting a parrot. This is a very long commitment. They require a lot of attention. They can't just live in their cage, so they need to be let out to get exercise on a daily basis. And they want a lot of attention. They want a lot of attention from you. So if you want a pet that doesn't require too much attention, just something pretty to look at, a parrot like this is not the right answer. Another thing to think about is to make sure that your home is safe for parrots. So things that you can't use when you have parrots are things like sprays, so air fresheners, hairsprays, all of that. That's not going to be good to use around your parrot. It can actually kill them. Incenses, candles, things like that. You have to make sure that the things that you're using in your home are safe for birds. So safe candles, safe oil diffusers, things like that. You also have to make sure that your cookware is safe for birds. So even if they're not in the same room as where you're cooking, any proximity to that could actually lead to them getting toxic fumes from certain things like Teflon. So Teflon's a no-no. You want to use things like ceramic pans when you own birds. And Teflon's bad for humans, so throw that out anyway. Now, an important thing to understand about green cheek conures is that they are not a family bird. So this is a type of species that typically bonds to one person in the house and dislikes other family members and other members in the household. So a lot of times I get people commenting, oh my gosh, what do I do because my green-cheeked conure hates my kids and I don't know what to do. And basically they're just complaining about the bird exhibiting normal characteristics for its species. And it really depends on the bird. For example, my green-cheeked conures are really not too difficult with my husband, but they don't like him. So if you're looking for a bird that's going to get along with all the people in your house, then it's not a green-cheeked conure. But if you want a bird that's going to be very attached to you, very close to you, green-cheeked conures are awesome. Next thing is to not get a parrot because it talks. This is way too much work for that cute little gimmick. And anyways, with these birds, they may or may not talk. And either way, it is completely normal and there is nothing that you can do to change it. That's also normal too. Conures are pretty loud, but green-cheeked conures are considered to be not so loud. Personally, I do think that they are pretty quiet birds. They don't have as loud a pitch as some of the other parrots, and they just seem to be a little bit quieter. But if you are looking for a quiet pet, I would completely stay away from birds and choose something different. Then also, if you're looking for a bird that sings a lot, I wouldn't really consider green-cheeked conures. Other birds like lovebirds, cockatiels, parakeets, they sing a lot more, whereas the green-cheeked conures aren't really a singing bird. So if you have decided that this is the right parrot for you, let's talk about picking out your green-cheeked conure. Now, I do love to support adoptions, and I have rescued tons of animals myself, including parrots. But I don't recommend getting a rescued parrot if you're a first-time owner. This is something that's actually very complicated and can be very difficult. This is something that I feel is much better off with someone who has a lot of bird experience adopting rescued parrots. Because of all the trauma that these birds went through, it can actually be very overwhelming for the new owner. And it doesn't help anybody, especially the bird, if it's just rehomed again because it was too much for somebody who just got into parrots. So unless you have a lot of good positive experience with parrots, I suggest getting your first one from a breeder. Now, a bird expo is a great place to go and buy one. You can get them at really great prices. That's probably one of the best places you can go to get birds at a good price. And then you can also meet the breeder and get to know them, talk to them, and make sure that you're buying from somebody who is breeding these birds ethically. Now, pet stores also usually sell parrots, but they are going to be extremely overpriced. An important thing to understand when buying any parrot is that if you want to get a parrot that you can handle and interact with, like I am with Barry, then you want to get a bird that has been hand-raised or hand-fed. A parent-raised bird is actually going to be very, very difficult to tame. And usually those birds are just for looking at, they're not really for interacting with. Now, a bird that's been hand-fed or hand-raised is going to want social interaction with humans. So that is something important to think about when picking out your parrot. I recommend getting a parrot that has already been weaned. This means that they are eating on their own. Sometimes you will see parrots available for hand feeding for sale, but this is for more experienced owners. So if you don't know how to feed a parrot that's a little baby and not eating on its own, it can actually die. And there's a lot of complications that go into that. So just get one that's already weaned unless you really know what you're doing. I'll link a video down below about hand feeding parrots. It's a video that I did when I had a cockatiel that I was hand feeding. However, this cockatiel had been being hand fed by someone else previously, and because they didn't know what they were doing, the bird actually ended up with an infection in its crop. And even through vet care and all of that, we weren't able to reverse that, and so it did end up dying. So that's why it's so important. But at the time I was able to make a video about hand feeding it, so I will link that down below. Sometimes people want to know if it's better to get a boy or a girl. To be honest, both of them are really the exact same. In fact, most people don't even know if their parrots are boys or girls. Personally, I don't even know for the majority of mine because I've never had them DNA tested. For many species, the only way that you can tell is by having a DNA test run. So that's something that I would definitely like to do in the future. I think it would be fun, but it's not necessarily something that you have to do. So it's fine whichever one you get. I think the only thing to mention is that with females there can be the one complication of egg laying, and that's not something that you want to happen. They are not like chickens. They should not be laying eggs on a regular basis, and usually egg laying is because of something wrong with them, something going on hormonally or just behavior-wise. So that's not something that you want to happen, and that's basically the only difference between the two, is that you can possibly have that complication with females. There are a lot of beautiful color mutations, so definitely pick out the one that you like. Get familiar with the species so you can see all of the different colors that they come in. Certain color mutations, of course, will be more expensive than just getting a regular green-cheeked conure. The next question you're probably wondering is 2 or 1. So with parrots that have been hand-fed or hand-raised, they want human interaction. So if the parrot has been parent raised, then you definitely do probably want to go with 2 of them, because they're just going to be for viewing. They need to interact with each other. But if you are going for a companion parrot, one that you're going to be interacting with that has been raised by humans, definitely get 1. Of course, you can get as many as you want, but understand that they cannot be housed together. They're all going to have to be housed separately. And a lot of times people think that they can get multiple parrots, put them in the same cage, or, oh, I'm going to go out and get my parrot a friend and he's going to love it. No, he's probably going to hate it. He's probably going to hate you for it. It really depends on the situation. Some people are lucky enough that their hand-raised birds all get along, but more often than not, they don't. All of my parrots hate each other, which is fine. It's not a big deal. They all have separate cages. So that's just the way it works. They bond to you and they want their interaction to be with humans. So that's just how they are. They may not want to interact with other birds. So next, let's talk about cages. So smaller cages with thin bars are typically made for birds like canaries, finches, that aren't going to be chewing on the bars of their cage. So those cages are not made with materials that are safe for parrots. You need to make sure that you get a cage that is safe for parrots, safe for birds that chew at the bars of their cage, because that's just something that they normally do. And you don't want your bird to get poisoned from its cage. And I'll link an article down below about safe material for bird cages, because you want to go with something that's like powder coated or stainless steel, things like that. Now, there's no such thing as a cage that's too big for them, but that doesn't mean that every parrot cage is safe for green-cheeked conures. Sometimes the very large cages have bar spacing that is wider, and they can actually stick their head through the bars. So this is really bad. There was somebody that posted a picture of a bird doing this, sticking its whole head through the bars, just its head. It couldn't get its body through, and posted it on Facebook because they thought it was really cute and funny. It is just anything but cute and funny. It is the perfect opportunity for a bird to break its neck. So it's just, to us people that are familiar with caring for birds, it was cringeworthy and terrifying. So definitely not something that you want to happen. So bar spacing for green-cheeked conures is about 5/8. That's usually what's going to be safe for them, so that they can be safe in their cage without the threat of breaking their neck. A minimum size cage for a green-cheeked conure is 18 by 18 by 20. That's pretty small though, and typically it is better to go with a larger cage, but then again, of course, it does depend on how much time your bird spends in the cage and out of the cage. So for people who leave their birds out all day long and it's just a place for their bird to sleep in, small cages are fine, but if you have to go to school or work, you definitely want to provide your bird with more space so that they can entertain themselves throughout the day and then be let out when you have time to interact with them. Now, the best places to buy your bird cage is going to be Amazon and bird expos. Pet stores are going to be so overpriced. So if you want to get something better for your money, then definitely bird expos and Amazon. So let's talk about feeding your parrot. Now, I think this is where people make the most mistakes. This is probably the most common mistake that people will make, is the diet for their parrot. So you probably think, oh, well, their diet should consist of mainly seeds. And that is actually wrong. Their diet should consist mainly of vegetables and fruit, and then sometimes some seeds. About 20% of their diet should be seeds. So the other 80% needs to be mainly vegetables with some fruit. In the wild, your parrot would be eating a huge amount of seeds, and that would make up most of their diet. But our companion parrots are not burning the amount of calories in captivity that they would be burning in the wild by having to fly very long distances, by keeping warm, all of that. So we need to make adjustments for them in order to keep them healthy in captivity. And in order to do that, feeding your bird vegetables is the best way. It keeps them very healthy. The best way to feed your parrot is by providing chop, and that's basically a bunch of fruits and vegetables cut up into little pieces with certain things like grains, quinoa, wild rice added to it. And I will link that down below, a blog to my website where you can get more information about chop recipes. A super important part about providing care for your parrot is providing them with lots of toys. These guys are very intelligent and they need a lot to interact with, and they love toys. So as you spend time with your bird and you have them for a while, you will learn what type of toys they like best. And I will link a video down below about how to make your own toys for your parrot. So just make sure that you have a lot in their cage and that it's different textures, leather, metal, paper, things like that, because these guys need all types of environmental enrichment. Now let's talk about the physical part of caring for your birds. They do need to have their nails trimmed. In fact, Cairo right now could benefit from getting the little tips of his nails trimmed. Typically, I don't have to trim him very often, as well as my other green cheek conure, because they wear their toes down on their own toys and things like that. But Barry needs his nails trimmed on a regular basis, and I can definitely feel when he needs a toenail trim. So I will link a video down below about how to safely trim a bird's toes. The other thing is that sometimes they even need their beak trimmed. So if their beak overgrows, they'll have trouble eating, and they can even starve to death from that. So you want to make sure that they have a nice beak and that they're healthy and all of that. So things like cuttle bones, mineral blocks, all of that is essential to their care as well, helps maintain a healthy beak. Now, if they do overgrow their beak, even with these things, which can happen, you want to take them to the vet so that they can safely and painlessly get their beak trimmed down. They also need a chance to bathe. Some birds like to bathe daily. Just depends on what your bird wants. Some enjoy a mist, some enjoy a bowl of water, and some will even get into the shower with you. Now you want to make sure that your bird has healthy feathers. So this is basically what healthy feathers is going to look like. I will put in a picture of what they should not look like. So basically you can tell a lot from a bird by looking at their feathers. Now they should all be very nice and no lines. You can actually see things like malnutrition, stress, and illnesses come out in the way that their feathers look. So you want to make sure that they're all very clean, that they're not messed up, and that they don't have what's called stress lines, which is dark bars in between bright colored feathers. So it is beneficial to have avian lights for your birds, and this is special lighting that helps them get vitamin D and things like that, and it helps them get things that they would get if they were outside in the wild. So birds in captivity, even kept next to a window, aren't benefiting from sunlight if they're always kept inside. So if you do always keep your birds inside, then make sure that you get some avian lights. All right, guys, well, there really is even more than just all of this to caring for parrots, but I think that this is a good start. It's pretty thorough, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!